Good morning, folks. Can the jail hear us today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And then do we have Mr. Harris here? Good morning, Mr. Poston. Do we have Mr. Harris?
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, sir.
All right. Give
Good
me
morning.
one moment. We're just getting situated over here in the court, and then we'll get started. For purposes of the record, the court's just going to indicate that Mr. Woody and Mr. Davis were both continued to the afternoon session today based upon the circumstances indicated by the jail. So we won't be hearing those matters today and this morning. Thank you.
Who was the other one, Your Honor? Woody, Davis and Woody, you said?
Yeah, Woody. Like the
Misto?
Jeremiah Woody. It's not like the individual who's involved with Mr. Harris. So yeah, it's
Okay.
with that as a misdemeanor. Okay, so Mr. Harris, we'll go ahead and get started on your initial appearance this morning. Good morning. You are being charged with a misdemeanor offensive assault under 13-1203. This you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. In review of the information before the court at this time is going to order that you be released on today's date with some conditions of release. Court is going to order that you not commit any acts of domestic violence, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Mr. Woody, who is described in the incident, do the two of you live together?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. No, sir.
Court is just going to order that you not have any contact with that individual as well as a condition of release. And your next court date in this matter is going to be what's called an arraignment. That's going to be on February 28th, 2025, 8:30 a.m. at the Justice Court. Make sure that you appear at that hearing on February 28th. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued, but you are being released today. Any questions, sir, at this time?
No, sir. Release on that charge. Release on something. Just no, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, with that then, is there anything we need to clarify or are we good?
Oh, this one. No questions. I'm good. I'm good.
You good? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harris. You're excused.
Your Honor, this is jail here. The housing unit officer where Mr. Montaño is located is stating that Mr. Montaño.
Okay. That's number 6. All right. All right. So we'll just go ahead and indicate for the record that Mr. Montaño is going to be continued to the afternoon session for today. We'll go ahead and approve that. And then did you have an update as well? Perfect. Okay. So Mr. Montaño, we'll go ahead and continue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we don't have access. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Good morning, Dono Albert Delgado Jr.
Mr. Delgado, you're being charged today with a couple of felony matters, specifically second-degree murder and being a prohibited possessor. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and there's counsel seated next to you to assist you today. The state is recommending that bond be set in this matter in the amount of $1 million plus release of pretrial services if bond is posted. Mr. Poston, let me, before you make a record, are you requesting this be concurrent with current charges right now or a separate $1 million bond?
Consecutive, Your Honor. I would note that he's got a prior murder conviction in Nevada and also the other Pima County Superior Court case. and $1 million is par for the course on murder, sir.
And can you clarify for me the charges in the other pending case?
Let me look them back up, but the case number I have is CR 2025-0267. One moment, please. Either way, Your Honor, we're still looking at a murder case. The $1 million is what the state's asking for, and pretrial just crashed.
Yeah, pretrial services has not been working for the court either, so that's a concern. What I show is in looking up the case, the indictment, the charges appear to arise from the same incident: aggravated assault, discharge of firearm, possession of a deadly weapon, intend to commit first-degree murder. So, okay, Mr. Poston, any additional record though that you want to make?
I don't think it gets any more clear that this person is a danger to the community and he's a repeat murderer, it would appear. And there's flight risk, and it just doesn't get any more serious, Your Honor. $1 million.
Thank you. And then defense counsel, if you want to make a record.
Your Honor, we just asked to reduce the bond, given his previous inability to pay the previous bond. So just something, just to lower the bond, please.
Okay. At this time, and then Mr. Poston, is this getting is this going to have a new CR number, and these are probably going to be either consolidated, or is that what's likely to happen in this matter?
It's information I do not have, Your Honor.
Okay. Right now, we're talking about Mr. Delgado. Your Brandon case. Okay. Okay. At this time, the court is going to order that bond be set in the amount of $1 million, cash is secured with release of pretrial services if bond is posted. Court at this time is going to indicate that bond is concurrent with CR 2025-0267. Additional conditions of release imposed in this case is that the defendant may not possess any firearms or weapons. No alcohol or illegal drugs. Monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services. The Pima County Legal Defender's Office is appointed. Mr. Delgado, next court date for you is a preliminary hearing, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. Make sure that you appear at future proceedings. Failure to appear can result in a warrant being issued. Any questions before we conclude? Yes.
That he does post the bond and is out on the streets, I would ask no contact with the family of the deceased, as well as do not return to the incident location.
Any objection to those conditions from defense?
No objection.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and add as additional conditions of release: no contact with family members of the victim, Mr. Grace, and also not to go back to the incident location. Anything additional from anybody before we conclude?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, with that, Mr. Delgado, you are excused. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be in here. Yeah, I'll put that. I'll save it. And so if I could just clarify, who do we have as defense counsel? I don't know if I have your name.
My name is Ariana Adams.
Adam, okay, thank you very much.
I'm with the Public Defender's Office.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's switch up. Okay, all right. So we're going to do at this point then, so is this Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews, we're going to conduct a hearing in just a moment. Let me just notify everybody. We do have, the court made an error with the previous defendant. We need to call him back after Mr. Matthews because I need to clarify the bond. So if Mr. Delgado is still there, let's bring him back after Mr. Matthews, okay? All right, so Mr. Matthews, at this time, you're being seen on a number of matters today. We're going to take this one at a time. First matter.
Now, how it still happens.
Is our updated, our new charges, felony charges of promoting prison contraband, possession of a narcotic and drug paraphernalia. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. Those counsel seated next to you to assist you. As to this matter, state is recommending that bond be set in the amount of $2,500 plus release to pretrial services if bond is posted, and this is an executive bond. And Mr. Poston, any record?
Your Honor, after all this, he was allegedly found in possession of fentanyl pills. So the state's looking for consecutive on this one.
And then there are pending felony charges from which the defendant had been previously released.
Yes, Your Honor, this is in lieu of no bond. The state does have the option, but considering this charge, we're only opting to add 2,500 to what he's already being held on.
Okay. And then, thank you. So, Ms. Adams, any record you want to make?
Your Honor, since pretrial services is down, I don't have it in front of me, but we're just asking for a nominal bond, and given his previous holds.
Okay. And then can the jail clarify for me what holds we currently have on Mr. Matthews, if any?
Your Honor, this is the jail. It looks like Mr. Matthews is being held on another Superior Court charges.
Okay, so a felony hold probably?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Multiple bonds.
Okay. So, Mr. Matthews, at this time, the court is going to adopt the state's recommendation. It's going to set a monetary bond of $2,500 cash and secured with release. For pretrial services, the bond is posted. The court did have the option of doing no bond, but the court's just going to go ahead and set that $2,500 bond. Conditions of release are no alcohol or illegal drugs, and then follow monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services, as you will be released to third-party supervision of pretrial services if bond is posted as to these matters. The Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you in this matter. Your next court date as to these new charges, February 10, 2025, at 1:30 p.m. for preliminary hearing. Make sure that you go to future hearings. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move forward to the other two matters that we have today. Here's that we had you released on it looks like you were picked up on a warrant for failure to appear, is my understanding. Let me double check. And so what the court is going to do is the court's going to set, and this is as to several prior offenses for which there was an arraignment. The court's going to set a bond in this one in the amount of just an additional $500 cash or secured. Released to pretrial services if bond is posted, no alcohol or illegal drugs, follow monitoring or treatment as recommended by pretrial services. Court will appoint again the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. As to these other pending charges, which we've referred to today, February 5th, 2025, 1:30, there's an arraignment at Superior Court, so you'll be obligated to appear at that hearing. If you're still incarcerated, you'll be either made available in person or transported or made available virtually to appear at that arraignment at Superior Court. And then finally, we have a South Tucson matter. This is for a failure to appear for shoplifting. Since we're holding you on the other matters, the court is to make sure that you get any time credit for the misdemeanor charge in South Tucson. The court is just going to set bond $100 cash or secured. Court will appoint Michael Vaughn to represent you in that matter and will affirm prior release conditions. For the South Tucson matter, for the prior shoplifting charge, next court date is an arraignment, January 30th, 2025, 10 o'clock a.m. at the South Tucson City Court. And as I've indicated before, failure to appear can result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. Any questions before we conclude?
Your Honor, this is the jail. Mr. Matthews already had a bond and he has a hearing set for today. As a matter of fact, on the South Tucson matter. The only thing he needed to be seen on is the new felony charges.
Okay, so just one moment then. What was it?
They're all gonna alternate.
Was he seen on those? Well, the jail, was he already seen on the South Tucson or also the arraignment?
That is correct. That is correct, Your Honor. He's already been set for an arraignment. The only thing that he needed to be seen on is the new felony charges. The contraband and the narcotics charges.
Understood. Okay, thanks for clarifying. So the court will order vacating the previous orders entered as to the $500 bond and the $100 bond is indicated on the record. The $2,500 cash secured bond will be the only order of the court along with those release conditions for those new charges that we indicated, the felony charges. So I'm going to go ahead and just approve on this end, and then if you just want to delete them as needed. Okay. All right. So it's kind of confusing, Mr. Matthews. Do you have any questions about what's happened today?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sounds good. So then you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, we have Mr. Delgado back.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring it back if we can, please. Okay, so Mr. Delgado, welcome back. We have, court made a little bit of an error last time. Court did not recognize that we had you in two different courts, and the court is unable to institute concurrent bond between the Justice Court and the Superior Court. So that's why we're bringing you back. The court has to make sort of an independent bond determination as to the new second-degree murder charge and prohibited possession charges. So at this time, given all the information available to the court is going to set bond in the amount of $500,000 cash is secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. And this is in addition to any bond that's set in the other CR matter at Superior Court. Same conditions of release apply. Legal defenders still appointed. Same contact restrictions apply. Yeah. Okay. So then,
Your Honor, I'm not sure I understand here. We asked for the $1 million based on this murder and this murder alone, and murder just by itself has traditionally been a $1 million bond. Now we've got the one that the pretrial indicates that he's also a convicted murderer out of the state of Nevada. So the state strongly believes that the $1 million is appropriate in this situation.
my understanding is that there's $1 million bond in the CR case, 2025-0267, correct?
There is.
Right.
Okay, I see your point, Your Honor.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
the total bond that's required for the defendant to be released based upon the court's order today is $1.5 million. So that's the total amount. So it's not that the court is reducing it lower than $1 million in general. It's just that now there's an additional $500,000 bond in this case. So any additional record, Mr. Poston? And then Ms. Adams, any additional record that you want to make regarding the court's decision today?
No, Your Honor.
So thank you for coming back, Mr. Delgado. You are excused at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And let's see. Where is my phone? Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please? I think you're muted on that end. Can you unmute, please? Can you repeat your name, please, sir?
Good morning, James Calamari.
Okay, give me one moment to pick up your file. Okay. All right, so Mr. Calamari, you're here today on initial appearance of a misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Just one moment as I review the probable cause statement. Okay. Based upon the information available to the court, at this time, the court is going to order that you be released on the current misdemeanor charge with some conditions of release. The court will order that you not engage in use of alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons, No contact with the alleged victim in this matter, who is Ms. Green. Then not to go to her residence or workplace. In the event that that is a shared residence, the court will order that you can return one time with a police escort, to pick up belongings. Next court date for you is going to be February 28th, 2025, 1:30 p.m. And that'll be at the Justice Court. Make sure that you appear at that next hearing on February 28th. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. And any questions, sir, at this time?
No, sir.
Okay, you're excused. Thank you very much.
Solteras.
Good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name, please?
Josephine Contreras.
One moment as I pull up your file. Okay, it looks like Ms. Contreras, you've been taken into custody as to a pending misdemeanor warrant arising out of several misdemeanor charges. Cruelty to animals, 2 charges, neglect of animals, no vaccination, and then also neglect, inadequate space. So these are misdemeanor offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. So we have a looks like bond was previously set in the amount of $300.
Well, we have you contact law enforcement. Yes.
All right. Just one moment as I'm taking a look at all this. Sorry, Ms. Contreras. So we have a court date that's set to be occurring in the Green Valley Justice Court, February 6th, 8:30 a.m. If the court releases you on today's date, Ms. Contreras, will you promise to the court that you can appear at that hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, the court will order that the defendant is released under promise to appear. Court will order that the case management. Well, the court will first order no contact with any of the animals alleged to have been maltreated. Court will order that you appear at the case management conference, February 6, 2025, 8:30 a.m. at the Green Valley Justice Court. Failure to appear at future hearings can result in a warrant being issued for your arrest, and then we're doing these hearings all over again. Do you have any questions at this time? Okay.
Your Honor, she has a probation violation hold.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You do? Okay. All right. Well, that changes the dynamic a little bit. So what the court will do then is, if there's that hold, the court cannot release you necessarily on today's date. The court then, just to make sure that you get time credit, the court's going to set bond in the amount of $100 cash or secured as to these pending charges, the Green Valley charge. And that even if you post that, though, it sounds like until the probation matter is addressed, then you won't be able to be released. Let me just get it. Let me see what we're going to appoint you counsel today. Let me see who we have for you. I'm gonna go ahead and appoint Anna Dennis to represent you on today's date. That'll be the attorney who's going to assist you with this matter, given that you're being held today. So you still do have that hearing, February 6, 2025, 8:30 a.m. If you're still incarcerated, then I imagine the jail will make arrangements for you to appear at that Green Valley matter. Any questions? Go ahead.
I had court recently, and it was scheduled for like April 6th, I think. Why has it been changed?
I'm not sure what matter you're referring to. It might be this one. It might be another one. You may want to just confer with Ms. Dennis, the assigned attorney, to clarify that for you. It looks like you have a little bit of time though. So any other questions?
Do you have a bond on the probation hold?
I don't see anything on that right now. I'm just setting a nominal bond of $100 cash and secured on this one to make sure you get time credit for this one, if applicable. But I don't know if there's a bond set for the probation hold, unfortunately. So, okay. With that, then, thank you, Ms. Contreras. You're excused.
You're being held on probation.
Okay.
This way.
Yeah.
Coronado. All the way up. All the way up.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Carlos Coronado.
Give me one moment, Mr. Coronado. To review the file, looks like, Mr. Coronado, we have you on a couple of matters today. One is a justice court matter, one is a city court matter. So we'll take the justice court matter first. Justice court charges criminal trespass in the first degree, which is a misdemeanor offense. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Based upon the information before the court is going to order as to this charge that you be released on your promise to appear. As to this trespass charge, your next court date is February 28th, 2025, 8:30 a.m. at the Justice Court. As conditions of release, the court is going to order that you not go back to the victim's residence or workplace and no contact with the alleged victim. If that's not sufficiently clear, there's a residence that was listed, the residence belonging to Ms. Cordova. So that's what the court's referring to. Okay, so you've got your next court date, conditions of release. Any questions, Mr. Coronado, at this time as to the justice court matter?
No.
All right, so then with that, we will go to the city court matter. And then for the city court, looks like we have some failures to appear for drug paraphernalia and driving on a suspended license. Again, you have a right to remain silent as to these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Looks like the failures to appear, it would appear to be somewhat dated. If the court is to release you on today's date, will you make sure to take care of these at the city court, Mr. Coronado?
Yes, sir. I promise I will.
Excellent. So just make sure that you do. Otherwise, the next judge who you would see if you did not may not be as flexible. So the court will then order that you be released on the city court matters, and we'll set a court date for you, which is going to be March 3rd, 2025, 2:30 p.m. with Judge Cranshaw at the city court. We're going to affirm any prior conditions of release. Okay, so you've got your next two court dates. Any questions before we conclude, Mr. Coronado?
No, that's all.
All right, with that, you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Hernandez.
Good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name, please?
Veronica Marie Hernandez.
And we show you, we have a second last name for you, Hernandez Castro. Is that also your name?
Moreno, Moreno.
So you're indicating that your last name is Hernandez - Moreno?
Yes.
Okay, is that something that we can change on our end? Or do I need to amend the complaint? Yeah, so your last name is not Hernandez Castro, your true name?
No, it is Hernandez Moreno. I'm sorry. I didn't know that they had the legal last name Moreno in the system until I got arrested. And they told me that my last name was Moreno.
Okay. So that's something that we can adjust. Okay, we'll fix that on our end in our charges, but so we have a couple of matters that you're being seen for today, Ms. Hernandez Moreno. First matter is looks like a failure to appear at a South Tucson City Court for a prior theft charge. It is a misdemeanor offense. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. So if the court provides you an opportunity to go to the next court date that you have at a South Tucson, will you make sure to take care of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that mean I'll be released today?
Well, that's the idea, but do you promise to appear? You've got a couple of matters today that see a lot of failures to appear. Normally, I would hold somebody at least on a nominal bond for those, but if I give you an opportunity to take care of these different matters, will you do that?
Yes.
You understand that if you do not take care of these matters, the next judge that you see may not be as flexible. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, then, as to the South Tucson matter, the court will order that you be released on your promise to appear. and then any prior release conditions are affirmed. Give me one moment to put that in the file here. And then we will go to the city court matter. Next court date in South Tucson is tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. at South Tucson City Court. It's on South 6th. So make sure that you appear. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Gave you the wrong date. It's not tomorrow. It's February 18. So in a couple of weeks, February 18, 2025, 10 o'clock a.m. We'll affirm your prior release conditions. And then let's go to your South Tucson matter, your city court matter. City court matter is failures to appear for prescription drug possession, drug paraphernalia, being in a park after hours, criminal trespass. Again, you promised to appear at these future hearings if we set one for you there, city court.
Yes.
This time the court will order the defendant's release as to the city court matters on promise to appear. Next court date is February 26th, 2025, 9:30 a.m. And that'll be with Judge Verena over at the city court. Make sure, and the court will also affirm your prior release conditions as to those matters. And remember, failure to appear at all these future hearings could result in a warrant being issued, new initial appearance, and then perhaps the next judge who sees you may decide to hold you. So do make sure that you take care of these. Any questions at this time, Ms. Brown? Any questions? Okay, with that, you are excused. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Myers.
Morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Super Ward Meyer.
Mr. Meyer, we've got a couple of matters for you today. Let me just take a quick look at your file, and then we'll get started. Okay. All right, so the first matter we're seeing you on today is for a couple of misdemeanor charges of shoplifting and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Let me see if I can pull up. I want to try to get a little bit more information. So just one moment, Mr. Meyer. Okay, Mr. Meyer, if the court provides you an opportunity to attend future hearings in this matter in lieu of keeping you incarcerated, is that something that you can do?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, in the circumstances, the court is going to order that you be released on your promise to appear on these matters. The court is going to order as conditions of release, however, no alcohol or illegal drugs, and not to go back to the incident location where the shoplifting is alleged to have occurred. Your next court date in this matter is going to be at the the Pima County Justice Court, February 28th, 2025, 8:30 a.m. Make sure that you appear at that hearing. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. And then we have also another misdemeanor matter with Justice Court. That's for failure to appear on a prior shoplifting charge. Again, we've got a couple of shoplifting matters that have now arisen. A failure to appear. Do you promise to appear at future court date as to this matter?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you did not appear at this hearing, then a warrant could be issued, then you're doing this all over again? Okay, so you're going to be released then as to this failure to appear. Your next court date is the same one that we just set, February 28th, 2025, 8:30 a.m., all with Judge Cornejo at the Justice Court. So all these matters that you have pending are going to be heard on that day. Make sure that you go back, prior release conditions of no alcohol, illegal drugs, not to go to incident. I'm sorry, we're going to get rid of no alcohol or illegal drugs because that's not relevant to this matter, but don't go back to the incident location as to the shoplifting charge. And I'll indicate that the prior release conditions are affirmed. All right. And so then any questions, sir, at this time before we conclude?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, please go to your next court dates. Your excuse, sir.
Ms. Speaks.
Yes, I was gonna ask about that, actually. Yeah, let me do that. And that says to both matters? Okay, just one moment, ma'am. We just gotta do something here real quick. Okay, sorry about that. Can you go ahead and state your name, please?
Lamar speaks.
Ms. Speaks, you're here today on a couple of misdemeanor charges of criminal damage and disorderly conduct. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Just give me one moment to review the probable cause statements. Okay, based upon the information that's available to the courts, including that the alleged victim is not objecting to your release and is okay with further contact. So in light of that, what the court's going to do is order that you be released on today's date on these charges. Does not mean that these charges are being dismissed, but you're just not being held under the charges. You do have some conditions of release, which I'll notify you about. No acts of domestic violence, no alcohol or illegal drugs. And next court date is going to be for these matters, February 28th, 2025, 1:30 p.m. And that'll be at the Justice Court, Pima County Justice Court with Judge Cornejo. Make sure that you appear at future hearings. You're being released, but these charges are not going away right now. If you fail to appear at the future court date on February 28th or any future dates, a warrant could be issued for your arrest. Do you have any questions at this time?
No.
Okay, then you're excused. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Atrás. Okay.
Good morning. State your name, please, sir.
Anthony Beltran?
Give me one moment, Mr. Beltran. It looks like we have a couple of matters you're here for today. Okay. All right, so to correct what I said earlier, it looks like we have just a single charge of disorderly conduct, which is a misdemeanor offense. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. In review of the probable cause statement, other information available to the court, and actually, let me check on one thing really quick before we do the ruling. Okay, the pretrial services input, as indicated from the stated victim, is inconsistent. So the court's not clear whether there is an objection to release. Given what's alleged in the matter, the court is going to order that you be released on today's date, Mr. Beltran, but there are going to be some conditions of release. You're not to possess any alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence. You're not to have any contact with the victim, Ms. Scott, and not to go to her residence or workplace. The residence of the victim, is that a shared residence for you? Do you live separately?
What residence is on there? 'Cause she lives with me when we were dating, but I mean, if that's the address on there, she doesn't live there.
I show a Pantano Road address. Is that an address you live with her?
No, that's her address. That's her home.
Okay. So the court's order today is that you just not go back to that residence until further order of the court.
Okay.
Next court date in this matter is going to be a arraignment that's set February 28th, 2025, 9:00 a.m. That's going to be at the city court with Judge Million. Make sure that you appear at all future hearings. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. Do you have any questions at this time?
No, thank you.
And I think you should get paper, if you're writing down the date, you should get that date on some paperwork as well, February 28th.
Yeah. No.
Okay, you should get some paperwork as well on that. So anyway, with that, if there's no questions, you are excused. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Sorry. What's up? Right down the rules. Follow the rules.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Matthew Draper.
Mr. Draper, the court is seeing you today on a misdemeanor charge of assault. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Just give me one moment to check something and then we'll proceed with your ruling. Okay. In light of everything that's being indicated to the court on today's date, though the victim does indicate that she does object to your release. At this time, the court is going to order that she be released on your promise to appear. But there are going to be several conditions of release, Mr. Draper. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons. You're to have no contact of any kind with Miss Rosemont, and you're not to go to her residence or workplace. In the event that her residence is a shared residence for you, you are permitted to go back one time with law enforcement to retrieve personal belongings. And your next court date in this matter is a pretrial hearing, February 28th, 9:30 a.m. with Judge Cranshaw over at the city court. Make sure that you appear at that hearing and future hearings. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. Do you have any questions, Mr. Draper?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Will the court allow me time to find adequate housing?
Do you want to remain incarcerated until you can do that?
No,
Okay.
but I literally have no other place to go. Like literally.
Sure. So in the event that this is a shared residence, there is a housing resource center at an associated, there's a sort of a trailer type place outside of the jail that can provide assistance with housing resources on your way out of the jail. You can stop by there to see if there's any temporary housing. But the options the court has at the present time is either that to release you or to hold you as incarcerated. So the court understands that it's likely to be a difficult circumstance if this is a shared residence, but the only other option I have at this time is to keep you incarcerated. If you want me to do that, I can do that, but it sounds like that's not the least restrictive placement for you, so to speak.
No, sir.
So I understand it's a difficult situation, but this is the best that I can do given the allegations in the case. So, okay, thank you, Mr. Draper. Your excuse, sir. Thank you.
Jackson.
Just one moment. We'll get to your case in just a moment. Do we still have Mr. Beltran in the room there, jail?
We can bring him right back though, Your Honor.
After this defendant, can we do that, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. We just have to give him a little bit different time. I know he wrote it down in his hand. We want to make sure he gets the right time on there. So, okay. Okay, so go ahead and state your name, please.
Christian Jackson.
Mr. Jackson, we've got you here today on. Just one moment as I pull up the charges here. Looks like we have offenses for concealed carry without of a weapon, and also drug paraphernalia possession. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. In light of the information contained in the probable cause statement, including that we do have a prior history of violating release terms. There was a warrant that was issued apparently. So in light of this history as well, the court is going to order that you be held on today's date, $2,500 cash or secured bond. If as conditions of release to possess no firearms or weapons. And next court date for you, sir, is going to be February 7, 2025, 1:45 PM with Judge Farena at the city court. If you do postpone, you still need to go to this hearing, so make sure you appear. Failure to appear can result in a warrant being issued. Any questions at this time?
No.
Okay, you're excused. Thank you, sir. All right, sorry, Mr. Beltran, we had to just bring you back to let you know the time that's on for your court date. It's not 9:30, it's 9 o'clock. So if you want to change that 3 to a 0 on your hand there, that might be good. But we just want to make sure if you
Okay.
showed up at 9:30, show up at 9:30, then you had it at 9, you might end up being late on accident. That would be my fault. So 9 o'clock AM on that date is your next court date, okay?
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
What we needed to tell you. Thank you, sir.
There's nothing else?
Nothing else. You're excused.
Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell?
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Danny Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell, we have you today on a couple of matters. We'll take them one at a time. Looks like we have, the first matter we're here for today is a criminal damage and disorderly conduct. And it appears there's also, so it's these 2 misdemeanor charges. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm seeing something in the case file. If the jail can just confirm, is there a probation hold on Mr. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor, it was sent over to jail records.
So as to the misdemeanor offenses that we're currently talking about today, the court is limited in what it can do regarding release, Mr. Mitchell, because there's a probation hold. So what the court's going to do is, court's going to set nominal bond in this matter in the amount of $250 cash or secured. Court will appoint counsel for you as to these new misdemeanor charges. That attorney is going to be Jill Dukin. Give me one moment to fill out her information here on the file. Court will order that as conditions of release, if bond is posted, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence. And then review one thing really quick. I just want to see whether we have input from the victim, your spouse.
He also told me that on a warrant that I thought that that case was dropped and that's why he released the probation hold last time. Was there a warrant court date?
Sure.
Good job.
Something really quick. That might be maybe in the city court matter that we're going to do next. But let me just take a quicker or look at your file. Okay, and I think we saw your wife a little bit earlier for her own matter. As to these current misdemeanor charges, I think we might talk about that warrant issue in just a little bit, but there's currently a probation hold. I'm going to put nominal bond on this one so you get time credit as to these misdemeanor charges. You do have appointed counsel. Next court date as to these matters specifically is going to be February 28th, 2025. And that's going to be at 10:30 a.m. at the Justice Court with Judge Cornejo for an arraignment. Make sure that you appear at that hearing. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. Let's go ahead and move on to the other matters that we have for you today, and that might help clarify things. So we've got, additionally, we have it looks like there was a warrant that was issued on January 21st, 2025 by Judge Millian from the city courts. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yes. I was under the impression that that got dropped and that's why they reinstated my probation and let me out of jail last time.
Okay. I don't. I'm not exactly sure why. One moment. So it appears that, so there was an order that was, there was a hearing that was to occur, a pretrial hearing with Judge Millian on the 21st. And then you did not appear at that hearing, and that was why. It looks like there was an initial appearance back on December 18, 2024, setting the January 21st date. You were released on promise to appear, and then it appears that you were not present on January 21st last week, and that's why this was issued. So what we have to do then is determine what to do about. So at this particular point, the probation hold that I'm being informed of, I don't know that it's necessarily related to either of these two offenses that we're currently here on. Does the jail have that information, what that hold is, and what case number that hold is for?
Your Honor, APO is indicating that they're citing a CR 2020-1082-001. Appears to be out of Pima County Superior Court.
Okay, so that's a completely different thing. Okay. And so with that, then it appears then Mr. Mitchell, what we'll have to do then is, because that hold is in place and I can't do anything about that at the present time, the court is just going to order that we'll set nominal bond in this matter, $100 cash or secured. In the city court matter, court will appoint the city public defender's office to represent you. They can also probably, or Ms. Gookin, one of the two, the public defender or Ms. Gookin, can provide you some additional clarity as to the matters.
So my holding for the case that I just got.
You're being held today on the new case, not showing up for the other case, and you've got this probation hold out of the Superior Court case. So you have total bond right now. You have total bond right now, $250 in the misdemeanor matter, $100 in the city court matter. If you post those two bonds, if there's not a probation hold anymore in the CR case, the Superior Court case in 2020, then you'll be released. If you're, if that hold is still there, even if you post the bond, you won't be released. So does that make more sense?
Yeah, so I got to talk to probation basically.
Yeah, and you have a couple of attorneys who are going to be appointed to represent you. They can help clarify as well. So your next court date in city court, it's February 5th, 2025, 1:30. And so that'll be with Judge Millian at the city court. And if you're still incarcerated at that time, the jail will make arrangements for you to appear, okay?
Okay,
All right, so that should sort it out for today. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. You're excused.
thank you.
So I had this one for a different, in this guy's phone, gentleman's phone. Okay, sorry, I'll do that. Okay, that's why I was a little bit confused about the matters. Just one moment, so we're just getting something sorted out here with the files. Is this yours? Okay. When you're ready, sir, can you go ahead and state your name, please?
Yeah, hold on. Well, she said when I'm ready.
Okay, and are you Mr. Castro, sir?
Yes, sir.
For purposes of the record, can you state your full name?
Philip Christopher Castro.
Okay, Mr. Castro, we have you here today on a couple of felony matters, burglary in the second degree and aggravated harassment. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is counsel seated next to you to assist you today. State is recommending bond be set in the amount of $7,500 plus release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Any additional record, Mr. Posted?
Your Honor, he's 6 out of 6, history of revocation of probation, and he broke into his ex's home, and when the police arrived, the victim was still screaming at him, telling him to get out. The state believes he is a continual risk to the victim. He's got prior felonies, $7,500.
And Ms. Adams.
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking, Mr. Castro has no failures to appear in the last 2 years. He's a lifelong resident of Tucson. So we're asking for release to pretrial services, or if you're not inclined, then a nominal bond.
At this time, the court will order setting bond in the amount of $7,500 cash is secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Court is concerned about pattern of conduct evident to the court. Conditions of release: no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services, and no contact with the alleged victim. Counsel is appointed, the Pima County Public Defender's Office. Next hearing for Mr. Castro, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. And Mr. Castro, just make sure you go to future hearings. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued.
This is on YouTube now? Your Honor, I don't have any money. I've been obeying the laws. I've been doing what I needed to do here. What happened was I didn't get a chance to show or to, I didn't get a chance to be there. It's not real what's happening there.
Sorry, I suggest you speak to your public defender, and they may be able to get bond reduced for you in due course. At this time, you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, lady.
Your Honor, we waive reading on these charges, please.
Okay. So that case then, sir, can you state your name?
Rob, I mean,
Mr. Jaramillo, you're being seen today on an initial appearance. Your provisional defense counsel today is waiving a reading of the charges. And so we're just going to go ahead and proceed on to but you're facing 2 felony offenses on today's date. There is bond recommended in the amount of $2,500 plus release to pretrial services. Mr. Poston, any additional record?
One moment, Your Honor.
While we're waiting on that, can the jail confirm, do we have any holds on Mr. Jaramillo?
Not yet, Your Honor.
Thanks.
Your Honor, I show he's being held on 2 other court cases, which is the only reason the state's only asking for $2,500.
Okay. But the jail, you've not been able to verify a hold right now?
No, Judge, we have not received a hold from probation. He's only booked on these 2 charges.
And
then, Mr. Poston, do you have anything else you want to say about that before you make record on the?
Yes, Your Honor.
But
Yes, Your Honor. Let's see if PTS has got pretrial services gotten their file back. Looks like their site's up and running again. Whether or not I'll get all the way through to the intro I need is another question. One moment.
when I was looking at it earlier before it crashed, I didn't see any hold noted on the pre-trial service.
Your Honor, we're just looking for the 2,500.
Okay. And then Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Jaramillo doesn't have any failures to appear in the last 2 years. He's lived in Tucson for 32 years. He's full-time employed. He has a place to stay. His mother offered to let him live with her. So we're asking for release to pretrial services.
You're looking at the case history since the offense. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 6 different violations for failure to comply with the requirements that are at issue. At this time, the court is going to order bond be set in the amount of $1,500 cash is secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Conditions of release include no alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring the treatment as directed by pretrial services. Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed, and upon release, whenever that would occur, that the defendant is ordered to report to the Pima County Sheriff's Department's identification unit as set forth in the order within 2 business days of release. Next hearing date for the defendant is going to be February 10, 2025, 1:30 PM at the Justice Court for preliminary hearing. Mr. Harmio, make sure you go to future hearings in this matter. Failure to appear can result in a warrant being issued. Any questions at this time? Okay, then you're excused. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, in this one coming up, the individual will not be Step Smart eligible.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Joseph John Martinez.
Mr. Martinez, we have you here today on a couple of charges. We have a misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass, and then we have a felony offense of possession of dangerous drugs. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel as to the felony charge, and there is counsel seated next to you to assist you. The state is recommending that bond be set in the amount of $2,500 plus release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Any additional record, Mr. Poston?
Again, Your Honor, this person is not eligible for Step Smart because there's a non-drug charge as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Poston. Ms. Adams, any record?
Yes, Your Honor. We're asking for release of pretrial services. He doesn't have any prior felony convictions, and the non-drug offense is a misdemeanor.
Just reviewing the probable cause statement more closely. Just one moment.
Judge, just while you're looking at this, counsel noted that it's a MISTA charge for the trespass. So my initial instinct was correct. This person is Step Smart eligible.
So in that case, Mr. Martinez, there's a program called the STEP program, which is a type of diversion program at the Superior Court. And for qualifying drug offenses, such as the one that you have, you can avail yourself of this diversion program. And if you complete all the requirements, then the drug offense will not be formally charged. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then does the defendant waive time then as to setting a preliminary hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So the court will go ahead and do it this time. Mr. Martinez, I'm a little concerned about the repeated presence at the Circle K location. The court's going to give you an opportunity here not to commit any additional trespass in this matter. So at this time, the court is going to order that you be released to third-party supervision of pretrials include no alcohol or illegal drugs, follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. And defendants often fail to abide by that. So please be unique in that regard and check in with pretrial services, follow their recommendations. Failure to do that would be a violation of the orders. You are directed not to go to the incident location, the Circle K on Nogales Highway that we've been talking about. Pima County Legal Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. You will have what's called the SMART hearing, which is that steps diversion hearing. Your first hearing will be February 5th, 2025, 9:00 a.m. And that's at Superior Court, Pima County Superior Court. Your next court date then for these charges then at Justice Court, if needed, is going to be March 17, 2025, 1:30 p.m. since time is waived as to the preliminary hearing. A lot of information we just went over. Any questions, Mr. Martinez? Okay, with that, then you've got your hearings, you've got your conditions, you are excused. Thank you, sir. Let me take a look. Oh, yeah. That should be fixed now. Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he needs an interpreter. Yeah.
Do we have an interpreter on the line?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Buenos días, señor. ¿Cuál es?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Buenos días, señor. ¿Cuál es su nombre?
Agustín Lugo.
Agustín Lugo.
And can the jail confirm whether there's a hold on Mr. Lugo?
Yes,
Le
Yes, Your
preguntan
Honor.
al personal,
ICE detainer.
le pregunta el juez al personal de la cárcel que si tiene una orden de detención y el personal de la cárcel respondió que sí, tiene una orden de retención por el Departamento de Inmigración y Aduana.
And sir, can you confirm that your last name is Lugo-Puerta?
Señor, ¿puede usted confirmar que su nombre, su apellido es Lugo-Puerta?
Sí, Lugo Puerta.
Yes, Lugo Puerta.
Mr. Lugo-Puerta, you're being seen today on felony charges of possession of narcotic drug and 2 counts of possession of a narcotic drug for sale.
Señor Lugo Puerta, lo estamos viendo el día de esta mañana por 2 felonías. Uno es su posesión de una droga narcótica y los 2 cargos de posesión de una droga narcótica destinada para venta.
You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Tiene el derecho a guardar silencio, todo lo que usted diga se puede usar en su contra.
You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and there is an attorney seated next to you to assist you.
Tiene el derecho a tener la ayuda de un abogado y tiene un abogado que está presente ahí enseguida de usted para ayudarle.
The state requests bond be set in the amount of $50,000 with release to pretrial services if bond is posted.
La fiscalía está solicitando una fianza de $50,000. Si usted paga la fianza, después sale en libertad, pero está bajo la vigilancia del Departamento de Libertad previo al juicio.
And does the state have any additional recommendations?
Le
Your
pregunta a la
Honor, the
fiscalía
state
si tiene una recomendación adicional.
Your Honor, the state just needs to impress upon the court the fact that this was a drug bust and the defendant was found the defendants were found with over 5 kilos of cocaine and over just shy of 2.5 kilos of heroin. This is huge. $50,000.
Su señoría, lo que la fiscalía quiere asegurarse que usted comprenda es que los hechos de este caso, que el demandado fue arrestado bajo una redada de drogas y el acusado o los acusados los encontraron con más de 5 kilos de cocaína. Además, tenían un poquito más de casi 2.5 kilos, and I'm sorry, the 2.5 kilos of heroin, is that the drug?
Correct.
Okay, casi más de 2.5 kilos de heroína y la fiscalía está solicitando una fianza de $50,000.
Ms. Adams, any record?
Yes, Your Honor.
Señorita Adams, ¿te quiere dar un récord?
Yes, Your Honor. Due to the ICE hold, we are asking for a nominal bond. Mr. Lugo Puerta has no prior convictions, and this is not a violent offense.
Sí, su señoría. Con respecto a ya que tiene una orden de represión del Departamento de Inmigración y Aduanas, estamos solicitando una fianza nominal. El señor Lugo Puerta no tiene ninguna condena previa por ninguna felonía y esto no fue un delito peligroso.
Judge, state would add that this is by all accounts not just drug sales but drug trafficking. By definition, that's a violent thing.
Su señoría, la fiscalía quiere agregar que esto no es simplemente una venta de drogas, que por tomando todo esto en cuenta es el tráfico de drogas y tráfico de drogas se considera un delito violento.
Based upon all the information before the court will order setting bond in the amount of $25,000 cash is secured.
Basada en toda la información que le presentaron al juez el día de hoy, el juez ordena una fianza de $25,000 en efectivo o garantizado.
The conditions of release and also release to pretrial services if bond is posted.
Y además, las condiciones de libertad, si usted paga la fianza, entonces va a estar bajo la supervisión de la agencia previos al juicio.
Conditions of release include no alcohol or illegal drugs and to follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services.
Las condiciones de libertad es que no puede consumir ninguna bebida alcohólica ni ninguna droga ilícita y tiene que estar bajo monitoreo y tratamiento como lo ordene la agencia previa al juicio.
The Pima County Legal Defender's Office is appointed to represent the defendant.
se nombra a la oficina del defensor público del condado de Pima para que represente al acusado.
And the next hearing for the defendant is a preliminary hearing, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m.
Y la próxima audiencia para el acusado es una audiencia preliminar el 10 de febrero 2025 a la 1:30 de la tarde.
And this is at the Pima County Justice Court.
Y esto va a ser en el Tribunal de Justicia del Condado de Pima.
Mr. Lugo Puerta, you should talk to your attorney from the Legal Defender's Office about the consequences of posting bond.
Señor Lugo Puerta, debe usted de hablar con su abogado de la oficina del defensor público con respecto a las consecuencias si usted paga la fianza,
Given that you have a federal immigration hold on your person,
ya que usted tiene una orden de retención del Departamento de Inmigración, el gobierno federal.
and do you have any questions before we conclude?
¿Tiene alguna pregunta antes de terminar?
No.
No.
Then
No.
you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor. Ya se puede retirar.
Sir, can you state your name, please?
Señor, ¿nos puede decir su nombre en voz alta, por favor?
José Daniel Lugo Puerta.
José Daniel Lugo Puerta.
Mr. Lugo Puerta, you're being seen today on felony charges of possession of narcotic drug and 2 counts of possession of a narcotic drug for sale.
Señor Lugo Puerta, lo estamos viendo aquí el día de hoy por 2 felonías, una posesión de una droga narcótica y 2 cargos de una posesión de drogas narcóticas destinadas para venta.
You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Tiene derecho a guardar silencio, todo lo que usted diga se puede usar en su contra.
You have the right to assistance of counsel for these charges, and there is an attorney seated next to you.
Tiene el derecho a tener la ayuda de un abogado con respecto a estos cargos y tiene un abogado que está sentado enseguida de usted para ayudarle.
The state recommends bond be set in the amount of $50,000 plus release to pretrial services.
La fiscalía está solicitando una fianza de $50,000 más que esté bajo la supervisión de la agencia previos al juicio si paga la fianza.
Does the state have any additional record?
Le pregunta a
Honor,
la
this is
fiscalía
not-
si quiere dar un recuerdo adicional.
Your Honor, this is again part of the persons with the with the large amounts of cocaine and heroin, $50,000.
Su señoría, esta parte de lo mismo de las personas con una gran cantidad de 50,000, lo siento, gran cantidad de drogas, de cocaína y heroína, solicitamos $50,000.
And does the defense have any record they wish to make?
Le pregunta a la defensa si quiere dar un récord que conste en actas.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Lugo Puerta doesn't have any priors at all. And so due to the ICE hold, we're also asking for nominal bond in this case.
Sí, señoría. El acusado en este caso, señor Lugo Puerta, no tiene ningún antecedente para nada, dado que tiene que una orden de retención por el Departamento de Inmigración y Aduanas, solicitamos una fianza mínima.
At this time, the court will set bond in the amount of $25,000 cash or secured with release pretrial services if bond is posted.
En este momento, el juez va a fijar una fianza de $25,000 en efectivo o garantizada, y si sale en libertad, va a estar bajo la supervisión del Departamento previo a juicio.
Conditions of release if bond is posted include no alcohol or illegal drugs and follow monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services.
Las condiciones de libertad es que no puede consumir ni tener ninguna bebida alcohólica ni drogas ilícitas y tener el monitoreo y tratamiento como ordene la agencia previos al juicio.
Counsel is appointed for the defendant, who will be Paul Gatone.
Se nombra un abogado para defender al acusado y se llama Paul Gatón.
And the next court date for the defendant is February 10th, 2025, 1:30 p.m. at Justice Court.
Y la próxima audiencia en la corte para el acusado es el 10 de febrero 2025 a la 1:30 en el Tribunal de Justicia.
Mr. Lugo Puerta, make sure you appear at future hearings or a warrant could be issued for your arrest.
Señor Lugo Puerta, asegúrese de presentarse en sus próximas audiencias o se va a emitir una orden por su arresto.
And I suggest that you also speak to your attorney about the consequences of posting bond if given that there's a federal immigration hold.
Señor, también le sugiero que hable con su abogado en caso que pague su fianza porque tiene una orden de detención del Departamento de Inmigración que es del gobierno federal.
Do you have any questions at this time?
En este momento, ¿tiene alguna pregunta?
No, está bien.
No, it's fine.
Okay, you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Muy bien, señor, gracias. Ya se puede retirar.
Para allá, pues, tenemos el coordinador. Gracias.
Sir, please state your name.
Señor, por favor, diga su nombre.
Leonel Arturo Payán Valenzuela.
Leonel Arturo Payán Valenzuela.
Mr. Payan Valenzuela, excuse me, you are charged today with a couple of different matters. The first matter is as follows.
Señor Payán Valencia, lo siento, Valenzuela, usted lo acusan de una serie de diferentes cosas. Primeramente se trata de...
Your newest charges are felony offenses for possession of a narcotic drug, possession of a narcotic drug for sale, and transport for sale.
Bueno, los cargos más recientes son una felonía por posesión de una droga ilícita, una otra es posesión por una droga ilícita destinada para venta y otra es una posesión de drogas, de tráfico de drogas.
You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Tiene el derecho a guardar silencio, todo lo que usted diga se puede usar en su contra.
You have the right to assistance of an attorney, and there is an attorney seated next to you.
La ayuda de un abogado y hay un abogado que está sentado enseguida de usted para ayudarle.
The state recommends bond be set for this matter, $75,000 with release to pretrial services.
La fiscalía solicita una fianza en este caso por $75,000 y además que esté bajo la agencia de supervisión previos al juicio si sale en libertad.
And can the jail please confirm if there is an ICE hold on the defendant?
Your Honor, this is the jail.
Entonces,
Immigration detainer.
are you going to the interpreter not able to hear?
Can you repeat that?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the jail. There is an immigration detainer.
Thank you. El juez le preguntó al personal de la cárcel que checara si usted tiene una orden de detención por el caso de inmigración y el personal de la cárcel dijo que sí, de hecho sí tiene una orden de detención del Departamento de Inmigración y Aduana.
Any additional record for the state?
Your Honor, unless I'm mistaken here, he's also held on CR 2022-3716. And overall, on both of these cases, we're looking at with the state's requesting 75,000 because this is slightly more cocaine, same amount of heroin, a great amount of cash, which screams trafficking in this quantity, and 302 rounds of ammunition. Apparently, they didn't find the weapon. But ICE hold notwithstanding, this is a flight risk. This is somebody who's trafficking.
One moment, please. Le pregunto el juez a la fiscalía. La fiscalía quiere dejar algo que conste en actas, quiere hacer un récord y la fiscalía indica que sí, que si no se equivoca el señor, dice que también tiene otro caso en el cual está detenido y este caso es CR 2022-37-16 y que usted está pidiendo una fianza de la fiscalía de $75,000 por ambos causas. Se lo encontraron con una gran cantidad de cocaína y de heroína y cantidad en efectivo, que esto indica que tiene que ver con el tráfico y además encontraron 302 municiones y no encontraron armas, pero encontraron municiones y aparte de que tiene la orden de retención de inmigración, usted está a riesgo de darse la fuga y acaso también porque tiene que ver con el tráfico de drogas.
Any record for the defense?
Ahora le pregunto a la defensa si quiere dar algún récord para que consten actas.
Yes, Your Honor. If I'm not mistaken, I think the 2022 matter, there was no conviction on that. He hadn't been convicted of the offense. And this, because there is an ICE hold, we are asking for a nominal bond.
Your Honor, he's on release.
One moment, please. One moment, please. Thank you. Sí, su señoría. Si no me equivoco, el caso del 2022 todavía no ha sido condenado en este caso. No ha recibido ninguna condena en este caso. Y a causa de que el hecho de que tiene una orden de retención del Departamento de Inmigración y Aduanas, entonces yo solicito que sea una fianza mínima.
And the court does understand that there was a prior release for the 2022 matter and a warrant was issued for that failure to appear.
Y el juez entiende de que anteriormente lo han dejado en libertad en el caso del 2022 y que por falta de comparecer en la corte se emitió una orden por su arresto.
So the court will issue two rulings as to the new charges and also as to the warrant, and I'll issue the ruling as to the new charges now.
Entonces el juez va a emitir dos fallos con respecto a los nuevos cargos y con respecto al cargo donde tiene la orden de arresto. Va a primero dictaminar su fallo con respecto a los nuevos cargos.
As to the new felony charges, the court orders bond set in the amount of $50,000, cash is secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted.
Con respecto a los nuevos cargos de felonía, el juez está emitiendo una fianza por la cantidad de $50,000 en efectivo o garantizado y que esté bajo la supervisión de la agencia previo al juicio si paga la fianza.
And conditions of release would be no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and to follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services.
Las condiciones de libertad es que no puede consumir ni tener ninguna bebida alcohólica, no puede consumir ni tener una droga ilícita, no puede tener ni poseer ningún tipo de arma de fuego o armas y debe de seguir las órdenes del departamento previo al juicio con respecto a monitoreo y tratamiento.
And the Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent the defendant.
Y se nombra a la oficina del defensor público para que represente al acusado.
Next hearing on these charges, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. at the Justice Court.
La próxima audiencia en la corte para este acusado es el 10 de febrero 2025 a la 1:30 de la tarde en el Tribunal de la Justicia del Condado de Pima.
And the defendant is admonished that failure to appear at this preliminary hearing or at future hearings could result in a warrant being issued for his arrest.
Y se le advierte al acusado que el no comparecer ante esta audiencia preliminar o cualquier otra audiencia que se fije puede resultar en una orden por su arresto.
As to the pending warrant from the CR 2022 matter,
Con respecto a la orden pendiente, la orden de arresto en el caso 2022,
at this time, the court orders setting bond in the amount of $10,000, cash or secured.
en este momento el juez ordena fijar una fianza de $10,000 en efectivo garantizado.
And that is also with release to pretrial services if bond is posted.
Y también está bajo la supervisión de la agencia previa al juicio si es que usted paga la fianza.
The conditions of release will also be no alcohol or illegal drugs. Monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services and prior release conditions are affirmed.
También las condiciones de libertad es que no puede tener ni consumir ninguna bebida alcohólica o tener ni consumir ninguna droga ilícita, monitoreo y tratamiento como lo ordena la agencia previa al juicio y se afirman las órdenes previas.
Next court date for that matter is February 5th, 2025, 1:30 for an arraignment at Superior Court.
La próxima audiencia en la corte para ese caso es el 5 de febrero 2025 a la 1:30 de la tarde en el Tribunal Superior para su lectura de cargos.
And again, failure to appear can result in a warrant being issued for the defendant's arrest.
De nuevo, el no comparecer en la corte puede resultar en una orden de arresto del acusado.
And then Mr. Payan Valenzuela, just I would suggest that you talk to your appointed attorney, who's the Pima County Public Defender's Office, about the consequences of posting bond.
Y de nuevo, señor Payán Valenzuela, le sugiero que usted se ponga en contacto y hable con su abogado, que es un defensor público, con respecto a las condiciones si usted paga su fianza,
And that is based upon a federal immigration hold being placed on you at this time.
ya que en este momento usted tiene una orden de detención del Departamento de Inmigración y Aduanas, que es del gobierno federal.
Do you have any questions, sir, at this time?
En este momento, señor, ¿tiene alguna pregunta?
No.
No.
Okay, then you're excused. Thank you, sir.
Muy bien, señor, ya terminamos, ya se puede retirar. Gracias.
¿Ya voy a retirar? Yeah.
And I believe with the jail, is that our last Spanish-speaking defendant?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
With that, the interpreter is excused. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. Interpreter disconnecting.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Francisco Javier Alvarez Jr.
Mr. Alvarez, we're seeing you today on, looks like a couple of matters. We'll take them one at a time. First matter we're seeing you on today is a updated charge of criminal damage, which is a felony, a classified felony. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is counsel seated next to you to assist you. State is recommending that you be released to third-party supervision of pretrial services. Any updates, Mr. Poston?
No, Your Honor.
And then any objection, Ms. Adams, to the recommendation?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So at this point then, Mr. Alvarez, the court's going to follow the state's recommendation, order that you be released to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. The court is going to order, however, that you do not have any contact with any alleged victims and not go back to the incident location. Court will order appointing the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. And your preliminary hearing, which is your next hearing, is set February 18, 2025, 1:30 p.m. These preliminary hearings sometimes change dates, so keep in contact with your public defender's office to be apprised of the latest date for that. And then we're going to go ahead and go to your next matter, which is you were picked up also on a warrant issued out of Nogales Justice Court for prior failure to appear in a criminal damage issue. If the court provides you an opportunity to resolve these charges in Nogales at the Justice Court, will you be able to do that?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
You have a court date that would be set February 10, 2025, 8:30 a.m. At the Nogales Justice Court. Can you make it to that date, and will you pledge to attend that court date?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll be here.
In that case, what the court will do is the court will order that you be released on your promise to appear. Let me just see really quick if these are, so I think these are misdemeanor offenses, so I don't think I need to appoint counsel. Yeah, okay. So the court will order releasing you on a promise to appear. Prior release conditions out of the Nogales Court are affirmed. And you are to order to attend the case management hearing February 10, 2025, 8:30 a.m. at Nogales Justice Court in Nogales. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. The court will, if there's any warrant that's still active as to that, the court will quash the warrant on today's date. Any additional records, sir, at this time?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And then any questions, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, so make sure you go to your next court dates and you are excused. Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Jose Alfredo Burrola.
Mr. Barolo, you're here today on a few felony matters: burglary in the third degree, theft, and trafficking and stolen property. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is an attorney seated next to you to assist you today. State is recommending bond be set in the amount of $2,500 plus release to pretrial services if bond is posted. And then any additional record, Mr. Poston.
No, Judge.
And Ms. Adams, any additional record?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Burrola doesn't have any failures to appear in the last 2 years. He's lived in Tucson for the last 8 years. And this is a property crime. We're asking for release to pretrial services.
All right, let me just take a look at one thing really quick. Okay, it looks like the NCA and FTA are 3 and 3 respectively. I don't see any prior theft crimes. Under the circumstances, the court will order releasing the defendant to third-party supervision of pretrial services. There will be some conditions of release, follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. No contact with the alleged victims. Do not go to the incident location. And Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you in this matter. Next court date for you, Mr. Barolo, will be February 18, 2025, 1:30 p.m. Make sure that you go to any future hearings. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. Because you're being released and this is a preliminary hearing, that is your next hearing. These dates sometimes change. Keep in contact with your attorney to get the most updated court dates. And because you are obligated to make sure you appear at future dates. Any questions, sir, at this time?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you're excused. Thank you. Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Yeah, it's Zachary Allen Carney.
Mr. Carney, we have you here today on, looks like it's a felony charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have a right to remain against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and there is an attorney seated next to you to assist you. It appears that we have a matter out of Justice Court, and then we also have a city court matter that we need to address next. But as to the Justice Court matter, the state is recommending, just one moment, that she be released to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. Additionally, that what's called a smart court hearing be set for you. Is that still the state's recommendation, Mr. Poston? Yes. All right. And so then, Mr. Carney, you have a opportunity to participate in a program called STEPS, which is a diversion type program at the Superior Court in order to avoid the possession charge being formally charged against you. If you comply with all the requirements, you would not be formally charged with this felony offense. Is that a program that you want to avail yourself of today?
Yeah, I'll do the STEPS program.
And then does the defense waive time as to preliminary hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so the court then will order as follows. The court orders releasing the defendant to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. Court further orders as conditions of release: no alcohol or illegal drugs, follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. The Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed. And time is waived as to the preliminary hearing. Smart court hearing is set February 5th, 2025, 9:00 a.m. at the Superior Court. So that's next week at the Superior Court, 9:00 a.m. Additionally, preliminary hearing is moved out to March 17, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. at the Pima County Justice Court. Make sure that you appear at the smart court hearing and the future hearings in these cases. In this case, failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. Okay, Mr. Carney?
Okay.
We have one more matter to see you on today. And that will be the city court matter. My understanding is I'm going to double check right now. That is going to be do you guys have Kleenex up there? A failure to appear. Okay. Sorry, your court file attacked me a little bit, Mr. Carney, so I'm not going to assess an assault charge on it, but we have some failures to appear as to criminal trespass. We also looks like we have an updated criminal trespass charge. And let me just take a quick look at the probable cause statement as well. And actually, let me correct that. It looks like just failure to appear on some prior trespass charges from 2024 and 2025. So, Mr. Carney, we're going to be releasing you as to the other matter. If we release you as to these matters today, the trespass matters, do you pledge to the court to get to city court, make sure you resolve these hearings in a timely manner?
Yeah.
And do you understand that if you did not appear, that you'd be rearrested? If a warrant would be issued, you could be rearrested, and then we're doing this process all over again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this time the court will order then releasing the defendant to the third party. I'm sorry, releasing the defendant on promise to appear on today's date. Try not to get any blood here on the file. And then court will affirm prior release conditions. Just give me one moment. Okay, next court date is going to be for the city court, and this is the one that's really important for you to address. Otherwise, the warrant could be issued. That will be on March 3rd, 2025, 9:00 a.m. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. Court will or go ahead and order nonetheless, even though it's probably part of the release conditions, not to go to the incident location related to these offenses. Okay, any questions, Mr. Carney, at this time?
No.
Okay, you're all set for today. Please go to your next court dates and you're excused.
I think we.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Yes, my name is Joe Enrico Aguilera Castro.
Mr. Castro, the court is seeing you today on several matters. We're going to take them one at a time. Court is first matter we're going to talk about today is a felony charge of possession of a dangerous drug. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There's counsel seated next to you to assist you. State is recommending bond be set in the amount of $2,500 with release to pretrial services. It appears that the state's also recommending a smart court hearing be set. Is that still accurate, Mr. Poston?
It is, Your Honor. The fact that it's not straight PTS with the smart referral is the fact that he's a 6 out of 6 on both scales.
All right. Ms. Adams, any record that you want to make?
Yes, Your Honor. Like the state recommended, he's steps eligible. We are asking for release of pretrial services. All the previous failure to appear were in misdemeanors or in a city court, and or they were related to misdemeanors, I should say. So we're asking for another opportunity on pretrial services.
Okay, Mr. Castro, in light of everything that's before the court's going to give you an opportunity to make good on your ability to appear at future proceedings without holding you on bond. The court is going to order releasing you to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. Does the state waive time as to a smart court hearing?
That would be up to the defense of the state.
My mistake. Does the defense waive time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Castro, just to verify with you, the state is recommending that you be able to participate in a program called STEPS, which is a diversion type program for the charges, the drug charge. If you're able to comply with all requirements, the drug charge would not be formally charged against you. Is that something you want to avail yourself of?
Absolutely.
So the state has, with I think sufficient basis, articulated that you should be held without bond because you have a failure to appear history and several prior offenses. So the court's going to give you a chance here to try to appear on these matters. It's crucially important that you appear at the smart court hearing and at the next hearings that we're going to set. I'm going to inform you about all of the other matters that we have with you today. So you need to make sure you go to all court dates. If you don't take advantage of this opportunity to appear at these future dates, then warrants can be issued, and then the next judge who sees your case may not be as flexible. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, sir.
Right, so just for this matter, smart court hearing set February 5th, 2025, 9:00 a.m. Preliminary hearing is set March 17, 2025, 1:30 p.m. If not already indicated, the defendant is being released to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. No alcohol or illegal drugs. Follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed. And so then we will go to the next case. Next case is failure to appear as to criminal trespass matter for this a misdemeanor offense. Court is going to order releasing the defendant on promise to appear. Arraignment is going to be February 28th, 2025, 8:30 a.m. at the Justice Court for this failure to appear for the prior trespassing charge. And the court will affirm prior release conditions. Next matter is a failure to appear as criminal trespass at Justice Court. Court again is going to release on promise to appear. And the same hearing is set with Judge Cornejo at the Justice Court February 28th, 2025, 8:30 a.m. And prior release conditions are affirmed. We have again, for the third time, case for failure to appear criminal trespass. Court is ordering releasing the defendant on promise to appear. Same court date, February 28th at 1:30 or 8:30, excuse me, 8:30 a.m. And that's at the Justice Court. Prior release conditions are affirmed. Let me check something really quick before we wrap up the last one. Can you just double check that I put 8:30 on all those hearings? Yeah, okay, thanks. I'm pretty sure I did, but okay. Last case we have today is finally,
Move that be.
yeah, you can put that in all of them. Yeah, that's fine. Or the ones that it applies to. And just one moment, I'm looking at one more thing on your file here. Yeah, it looks like we have one more additional Justice Court case, and I think we also have City Court as well. So we're not quite done yet. And that is, so on these other matters, looks like some misdemeanor matters for drug possession and trespass. Not clear if these are encapsulated with other case numbers, but we're just going to order releasing. And a same court date, arraignment, February 28th, 8:30 a.m. with Judge Cornejo at the Justice Court. Any prior release conditions are affirmed. Just in case, because I'm not clear as to whether this is failure to appear, I am going to put do not go to the incident location and no drugs or alcohol. And then lastly, we have a city court case. I suspect this is probably going to be failure to appear, and indeed it is. criminal trespass and drug paraphernalia. So I just want to reiterate, Mr. Castro, a standing number of failures to appear. I'm giving you a chance here. Do make sure that I'm not a fool on this. Please go to your next court dates. Under the circumstances, court has been ordered releasing you on the city court matter. On your promise to appear, that court date at city court. So you have a number of hearings set all at the same time on February 28th. Now you have an additional court date, March 3rd, 2025, 9:30 a.m. And that is at the city court with Judge Hale. Prior release conditions are affirmed. And any questions, Mr. Castro, at this time?
No, sir.
Okay, with that then, do make sure you go to future court dates and you are excused. Okay, can you state your name, please, sir?
Max Diaz.
Mr. Diaz, we have you here on a number of matters today. We'll go ahead and take them one at a time. The most recent matter we're here for today are 2 felony offenses of aggravated shoplifting and possession of a narcotic drug. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and there is counsel seated next to you to assist you. The state is recommending as to the felony matters that bond be set in the amount of $7,500 plus release to pretrial services. Any additional record, Mr. Poston?
Your Honor, he's 6 out of 6 and has been on quite the theft run as of late. There's no indication that releasing the PTS without a substantial bond is going to do anything in terms of stopping him from continuing to steal. State submits.
Any additional record, Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Diaz, he's a lifelong resident of Tucson. He is employed, and it appears as though that the most of the failures to appear are related to the misdemeanor matters. He doesn't have any serious challenges, so we're asking for one more chance on pretrial services.
Okay, I think as opposed to the last case that we had with similar charges, I mean, there are a substantially higher number of failures to appear. Still 6 out of 6. The underlying felony charges are more severe. Based on all the circumstances, the court is going to set bond in the amount of $2,500 cash or secured with release to pretrial services. A bond is posted. As conditions of release, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services, directed not to go to the incident locations. Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent the defendant. Next court date is to the felony charges, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. And that's at the Justice Court. And then we're going to go ahead. There's, I think, 3 or 4 other jurisdictions we have to hear from, including City Court as well. So the next case we're going to hear at this time is for Marana City Court. Given that the defendant's being held in this matter on the felony charges, court will, for the Marana City Court charge failure to appear on drug paraphernalia, court will set bond in the amount of $100 cash or secured. Janet Altschuler is appointed to represent the defendant. Case management conference is set today at 12:00 p.m. in about an hour. For the drug paraphernalia charge, there should be sufficient time to have the defendant made available for that hearing virtually at least. And any prior release conditions are affirmed. As to the next matter, which is a failure to appear for a theft charge out of Oro Valley City Court. For similar reasons, court will set bond $100 cash or secured. Richard Glenn is appointed as counsel for the defendant. Case is set for a case management conference, February 5th, 2025, 10:30 a.m. And that's at the Oro Valley City Court. So that's February 5th, 2025, 10:30 a.m. at Oro Valley City Court. And any prior release conditions are affirmed. As to the another failure to appear for Justice Court, Pima County Justice Court, court will set bond $100 cash or secured. Will indicate that this bond is going to be concurrent with the other Justice Court case matter ending in 0322. Any prior release conditions are affirmed. Jill Gukin is appointed to represent the defendant in this matter. And next court date is going to be January 30th, 2025, 1:00 p.m. And that's going to be with Judge Foster at the Justice Court. And any prior release conditions are affirmed as stated. Finally, we have another failure to appear for shoplifting at a Justice Court. Again, bond set $100, cash is secured. That is concurrent with the case ending in 3739. Joe Gukin also appointed to represent on this other matter as well. Case management conference set at the same time as the other Justice Court matter, January 30th, 2025, 1:00 p.m. And that's at the Justice Court. Okay, a lot of dates, a lot of information. Any questions, sir, at this time?
No.
Okay, you're excused. Thank you, sir.
Art.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Sarah Rose Guard.
Ms. Guard, we have you here today on 2 counts of felony shoplifting. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is counsel seated next to you to assist you. State is recommending that bond be set in the amount of $5,000 plus release to pretrial services. And then can the jail confirm, do we have a hold on Ms. Guard?
Yes, Your Honor, ATO has posted their hold.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Guard, what that means is that probation has requested that you be held without bond pending any probation revocation proceedings or other similar matters. So even if the court was inclined to release you today, the court cannot do that until that probation hold is lifted. The state is recommending that bond be set nonetheless, in this case, in the amount of $5,000 plus release to pretrial services. Any additional record, Mr. Poston?
No, Your Honor.
And then Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking for a nominal bond in light of the probation hold.
Okay. Court will, at this time, court is going to set bond in the amount of $1,000 cash or secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Defendant is ordered not to go back to the incident locations and follow any treatment or monitoring as directed by pretrial services. Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed. And next court date for the defendant, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. for preliminary hearing at the Justice Court. Ms. Guard, make sure you appear at future dates. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. Do you have any questions at this time?
I do have a quick question, only because I have 2 counts of felony shoplifting, and I'm just really confused as to why they're felonies. They were just mediocre amounts of like food from this convenience store. And I'm just confused on that. Your Honor, I've been cleaning my side of the street for years. I've been on probation, and I'm about to term out of probation on the 13th. I work at Community Bridges, and I know you're not going to release me or anything. I'm just saying another felony charge would be detrimental to me when it's all under like $30. It's under $25.
Mr. Poston, my understanding is that it's charged as a felony given prior shoplifting history. Is that accurate?
Yes, Your Honor. She has been arrested thrice in the last 5 years for shoplifting, and one of those cases clearly led to her being on probation, which she has violated, apparently.
Okay. I would suggest, Ms. Guard, talking to your public defender to clarify more. If there's an argument that could be made as to dismissal of the charge at a future date, that's something that may be available. So at this time, if there are no additional questions, the court will go ahead and conclude in your excuse, ma'am. Thank you and good luck.
Mr. Mendoza.
Just one moment, we'll get to your case shortly. Um,
Yes.
We'll have to bring him back then. Before we get started with the next appointment, can we, we're gonna need to bring back Mr. Diaz. We skipped over his city court matter. So, if he can be brought back in after this defendant or shortly thereafter, that'd be great.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just one moment here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Can you please state your name?
Jorge V. Mendoza.
Hey, Mr. Mendoza, we have you here today on a felony offense of trespassing in the first degree. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and counsel is seated next to you. The state is recommending bond be set in the amount of $10,000 with release to pretrial services if the bond is posted, and then any additional record, Mr. Poston. Mr. Poston, are you muted or any additional record?
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yeah. I think
Your Honor, the state would not.
all right, looks like Mr. Poston just needs a break before we
So I just gave you a retweet and I quote tweeted it. Good morning, Tucson. Welcome in. It's good to see you.
Hey, I appreciate you retweeting that out. I mean, all
Yeah,
the
if you
little
guys
things.
are on Twitter, yeah, for those of you who are on Twitter, when Joe and I go live, we try to remember to put it out there. So we seem to get a lot of traffic from that, from the Twitter. So yeah, if you guys are on Twitter, give it a retweet when you see us going live. We appreciate it. It all helps.
Good morning, Forrest. Good morning, Asha. Good
Yes, good morning to both of you. Welcome in for us. We always appreciate you. And good morning, Asha. So this is Joe's new morning show, and this is his episode 3. We're both doing morning shows now, and we're bouncing back and forth between the channels. Like, we don't do it every single day. We take a day off, and he finally got his launched, and so here we are for episode 3. I'm here for it.
Good deal. I'm happy to have you up here for it too.
Oh, Forrest, get on to that grocery store before it gets too hectic. I do not blame you. That's like me not going on Saturdays. I refuse.
Oh yeah.
Those additional orders?
No.
Okay, then you're all set. Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Can I sign that? Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Felix Misowich.
Mr. Misowich, you're here today on a felony charge of aggravated DUI and driving the wrong direction, which is a class 4 felony. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is counsel seated next to you to assist you. State is recommending bond be set in the amount of $5,000 plus release to pretrial services. Any additional record, Mr. Poston?
No, Your Honor.
And then Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Miswich has no prior convictions. He has no failures to appear. He's lived in Tucson for 35 years. We're asking for release to pretrial services.
I don't see any prior history of DUI. Typically, when there is, I typically hold potentially without exception. Under the circumstances, the court's going to order releasing the defendant to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. Mr. Misowich, the court's releasing you today. I just want to make it crystal clear. If you drive under the influence again, and if you consume alcohol, that would be a violation of the court's orders on today's date, and you could be picked up again, and then the next judge that sees you may not be as flexible. DUI is a serious offense, and I think we're lucky in this circumstance that I don't see anybody that was injured necessarily in this. So let's just make sure it doesn't happen again. Does that make sense?
Yes, Your Honor.
As conditions of release, the court's going to order that the defendant may not drive without a valid license, no alcohol or illegal drugs, follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Counsel will be appointed to the Pima County Public Defender's Office. Next hearing in this matter is a preliminary hearing, February 18, 2025, 1:30 p.m. at the Justice Court. Make sure you appear at future hearings. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. Any questions, sir, at this time?
No, Your Honor.
And you are excused. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Morris?
Can you state your name, please, sir?
My name's Daniel Morris. Daniel Eugene Morris.
Mr. Morris, we're seeing you today on several felony matters: theft of means of transportation, burglary in the 3rd degree, prohibited possession of a weapon, possession of narcotic drug, and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is counsel seated next to you to assist you. State's recommending bond set in the amount of $5,000 plus release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Any additional record, Mr. Poston
No, Your Honor.
and Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Morris doesn't have any prior failures to appear. He's lived in Tucson for 24 years. He's self-employed, and his mother said that she could take third-party custody of him. So we're asking for release to pretrial services.
On the information before the court, it is ordered setting bond in this matter, $5,000 cash is secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Conditions of release will be no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. Follow monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services. Pima County Legal Defender's Office is appointed to represent the defendant. Next hearing for the defendant, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. at the Justice Court. Mr. Morse, make sure you appear at all future hearings. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued. Any questions at this time?
No, sir.
All right, then you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Sandoval.
Okay, good morning. Can you state your name, please?
Victor Manuel Sandoval.
Mr. Sandoval, you're being charged today with felony offenses of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of a narcotic drug for sale. These 2 counts. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is a counsel seated next to you. State is recommending that bond is set in the amount of $25,000 plus release to pretrial services. And any additional record, Mr. Poston?
Your Honor, this person was also involved in the cocaine and the mass amounts of cocaine and heroin, as well as cash. I don't believe there's an ice hold here, but it's the same fact pattern, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Sandoval has no priors. He has no prior convictions, no prior failure to appear. He's lived in Tucson for 40 years. We're asking for release to pretrial services.
Just one moment as I review something. And can the jail confirm, do we have any holds on Mr. Sandoval?
No holds, Your Honor.
Great, thanks. Okay. This time the court is going to set bond in the amount of $10,000 cash is secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Conditions of release will include no alcohol or illegal drugs. Monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services. Next, court will appoint the Pima County Legal Advocates Office to represent the defendant. Next court date is a preliminary hearing, February 10th, 2025, 1:30 p.m. at the Justice Court. And then Mr. Sandoval, failure to appear at future hearings can result in a warrant being issued. And any questions at this time?
Oh, sir.
All right, you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Guess that you talk to him later.
And that would, okay. Can I verify? I've got a couple of files here. I've got Patino and Friend. Are these? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Sir, when you're ready, can you state your name, please?
Johnny Orlando Soto.
Mr. Soto, we've got you here today on a few felony matters of armed robbery, aggravated robbery, and burglary in the 3rd degree. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and there is counsel seated next to you for your assistance today. I do note that we have a probation hold on the defendant. Is that correct, Jail?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, and so, Mr. Soto, what that means is that adult probation has placed a hold on you, that until that hold is resolved, that you are being held without bond on that hold, but the state nonetheless is requesting that bond be set as to these matters, $25,000 plus release to pretrial services, and that will be on top of anything that probation is instituting. Any additional record, Mr. Poston?
Your Honor, I would just note that he's a yes on the new violent crime question. He's a 6 out of 6 for NCA and a 4 out of 6 for FTA. And regardless of what probation does, this case still warrants on the facts $25,000.
And Ms. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Soto, he is a lifelong resident of Tucson. He only has one prior failure to appear. We're asking for a nominal bond in light of the probation fees.
Okay. Well, I think that absent the statement of threatening to harm the business clerk, I think I may reach a different decision, but I think that poses sufficient cause to conclude there's danger to the community. At this time, we'll go ahead and set bond $25,000. Cash is secured with release to pretrial services. If bond is posted, conditions of release: no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms. Surrender any firearms to local law enforcement. Follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent the defendant, and next court date is the preliminary hearing set February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. And then, Mr. Soto, any questions before we conclude today?
Yeah, I talked to some lady earlier, and she told me I don't have a probation hold. She told me that. She's like, you do not have a probation hold, so that's a good thing. And I was like, oh, all right. And then.
Okay. Well, I would suggest talking to your public defender about that. They may be able to confirm that something has changed. Regardless of the probation hold, the court still is instituting bond as stated on today's date. So I suggest just talking to your attorney about those matters, okay?
All right. Also,
I can answer the questions that you asked.
yeah, well, I was.
Oh.
Yes, Ms. Adams?
Sorry, was he excused?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Kevin Jeremiah Wigginson Stevens.
Mr. Wigginson Stevenson, you're here today for an initial appearance on a couple of matters. The first matter is some felony charges for unlawful possession of a dangerous drug, unlawful possession of a narcotic drug, weapons misconduct. It looks like the weapons unlawful possession of a dangerous. Up here, there's 2 counts of that, I believe. So these are all felony offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The state in this matter is, and you also have the right to assistance of counsel. There's counsel seated next to you to assist you on today's date. There is a recommendation from the state as to the updated felony charges: $50,000 bond plus release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Any additional record, Mr. Poston?
Your Honor, the state would just point out that the way the methamphetamine was packaged was obviously for sale. There are 200 M30s, and one of the weapons charges is particularly concerning that this person is alleged to have possessed a weapon with a defaced serial number, which is only there to try to frustrate the course of justice and law enforcement. Prior felonies, the probation hold, even without the probation hold, this is still a $50,000 bond any day, Your Honor.
Okay, and then Ms. Adams?
Your Honor, in light of the probation hold, we're asking for a nominal bond set.
Okay, this time the court will order setting bond in this matter in the amount of $50,000 cash that's secured with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. And Mr. Poston, the recommendation, Brian, is that concurrent with another CR number?
I saw that there is the.
Oh, I see.
I'm sorry.
Attached to the warrant then?
Yes.
Okay.
50,000 concurrent across all of it.
Okay. I'm being told that we cannot do concurrent bond as to the warrant and the current matters. So I just want to clarify.
40,000 and 10,000.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just indicate right now $50,000 for the bond for these new felony charges, and that the conditions of release are no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, any firearms or weapons to be surrendered, and follow monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed. Next court date in this matter is going to be let me see something. It says that there's an arraignment. Okay, I see what happened. Okay, so let me. All right. Make sure I have the right windows pulled up here. So next hearing is going to be for the new felony charges, February 10, 2025, 1:30 p.m. And that's at the Pima County Justice Court. And then for the warrant, failure to appear, the state has recommended that $50,000 bond be concurrent. Although with the court's implementation of the $50,000 bond already as to the new charges, any updated recommendation, Mr. Poston?
They defers to the court's discretion.
And then Ms. Adams, any recommendation?
Just a nominal bond, and he won't be able to pay the no objection. Yeah, just a nominal bond.
Okay. For the warrant, I'm just going to put in additional bond at $2,500 cash and secured. Same court will indicate any prior release conditions are affirmed. And then the next court date as to the warrant, the prior matters is going to be an arraignment, February 5th, 2025, 1:30. And that's at the Pima County Superior Court. Okay, any questions, Mr. Wigginson Stevenson, at this time?
So I have to pay 50,000 to be released, or?
So there's two different bonds that have been established, $50,000 cash secured as the new charges, and then there's some prior charges from 2024 that the court, you were picked up on a warrant on those as well, and so the court instituted an additional $2,500 cash secured on that one. So if you post all of the bond amounts that are listed, there's still what's called a probation hold on you. So even if you posted those bonds, probation's still asking that you be held for an indeterminate period of time until they can resolve matters with them. So I would just suggest you speak to the public defender's office to answer some of these questions for you. They can clarify things further.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You are excused. And I show that and it's everybody who's online. So thank you, sir. You are excused. Okay, and so with that, then I believe that's our last case for the morning. Thank you, everybody. And we will stand at recess.